All right. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thanks for joining in. We are a couple minutes late. We were having some technical difficulties, which we got sorted out. I'm proud to introduce our guest today. Has a YouTube channel, Instagram account known as the Hood Sommelier, Jack, or Jacques, as he likes to be called. Go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are.
I'm Jacques Bigadou. Jack Bigadou. I'm what you will call a whiskey educator. I came on Instagram about a few years back, bringing knowledge to mostly newcomers into whiskey and knowing a little more about how to enjoy their spirit. I'm a fan of single malt, but I don't discriminate against any spirit. I love them all. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good. Thank you. I know Bart and I had you on the Scotch Test Dummies channel a while back, and you also made an appearance now I see on with Jason on the Mash and Drum.
Yes.
Has there been anything else in there that I've missed?
No, no, no. I've been invited. I don't know. Maybe it's the good luck of your channel. I've been invited in on about multiple channels that wanted to. I think the Bourbon Judge, we had something as well. So that
And
is that
you've
is
already kind of been
literally
preaching and
started.
spreading. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I say that's literally how I started uh, sharpening my palate.
Oh,
Literally, I found the Scotch and Malt Society about 4 years ago, and since then I haven't turned back. I love everything about the concept of it, and it truly helped me be better at training my palate.
good, good. What? Let's get started. So we do
Yeah.
have four bottles we'll be looking at today. All four bottles that are coming out tomorrow will be released at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to start with a 9-year-old that we have that's in the sweet or our spicy and sweet profile. 9-year-old. Let me pull up on my banner here.
Yeah.
Cask 71.81. His Satanic Majesty's Sweetie Emporium. This is a 9-year-old Speyside from a First Fill X bourbon barrel,
Yeah.
bottled at 60.5%. Now, have you had a chance to pre-taste any of these?
Nope. No. I want to be surprised on a live.
I haven't either. I had a full week last week with my YouTube travels, and I got in Saturday night, and I vowed no whiskey over the weekend.
Over the weekend.
To
Yeah.
do this stream today, and then the rest of the week for me is a dry week. So I've got to heal a little bit, I think, from last week's activities.
So, let me see.
Making hot coffee. I see your comment there, and let me bring you up here. Well, my comments aren't populating. You wish the $99 price tag to join was more justified. Right now, through today, if you join, you'll get a $50 gift card. It was a Valentine's Day special we've been running through last week. It ends today. So if you do join today, though, it's $99, and then you'll get a $50 gift card to use on your first purchase.
Yeah. And usually, I believe when I joined, there is a set that came with my membership of three different kind that I can try with detailing this, the society and all. It For me, I'm a part of a lot of clubs, but when I joined, I was not disappointed by all the things that came with my membership package. And when I tried the whiskey that even came with it, I'm like, oh, this is very quality single malt. Really like it.
Oh yeah. Now, so yeah, we do have some bottle bundles as well. There's 3 different packages with a membership. You can get a bottle. There's 3 different price ranges. Those bundles save you $50 with that membership and that bottle, and then you would still get a $50 gift card. So those would actually be pretty good deals right now for you.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, one of the things that I have to say is the hardest thing in the single malt business or in general is finding single malt at cask strength. People are used to drinking their single malt at 43% ABV, um, but finding single malt at cask strength is a big deal. So for me, it's worth joining a society just to actually find single malt at cask strength all the time.
See, I would throw on there. It's hard to finding good cask strength single malt whiskeys, and that's one thing we're doing exceptionally right now, I believe. So this jumped out at me as soon as I poured it. Just all the fruits.
Very fruity,
Yeah.
very fruity nose. I mean, usually I'm scared when it's light on the color. Legs are very low to come down, so it's you can expect a little bit of heat coming in if you when you have. I mean, stone fruit, pear is what you get. Very fruity on the nose. Nothing, yeah, nothing like and even the nose, even though at 60% ABV, this thing is not punching you directly in the nose. Is
No, there's still plenty. There are plenty of
Yeah,
fruits, even some raspberries,
yeah,
lighter berries, strawberries, citruses,
yeah, light and citrusy,
cinnamon,
just yeah,
vanillas, slight oaks.
absolutely.
All right.
All right.
Here's happy Valentine. Did I say happy Valentine's Day?
Happy Valentine's Day. mm,
Oh yeah. Wow, that palate.
mm-hmm,
That is juicy fruit,
mm.
um,
Just,
exotic fruits.
I mean, an explosion of citrus
Mm-hmm.
on your palate, just like it's like biting into an orange.
I got
It's like,
a little bit of a char as well in there
yeah,
on the end probably from the barrel here.
mm, this is very surprising. It's
Yeah.
tingly, it's tannic, and is give you a little tingle on your tongue right away. Wow, wow, this is
I
very.
am wearing, by the way, the most pink shirt that I had for Valentine's
Oh,
Day.
I have to
Anybody is
wear
wondering.
the women cancer t-shirt that I have. It have beautiful pink in there. Cancer month awareness. That's my favorite t-shirt to wear on Valentine's Day.
Good. All right. Yeah, very nice. And even at the 60.5%, very nice, neat. I'm going to try one more sip neat and then add a drop of water. But there was still, for this being that high ABV, there was a lot to
You
pull
do
out.
not, yeah, you do not feel this at all.
Mm-mm.
Just a warm feeling going down, very citrusy. The nose is just beautiful and faint. You don't get that. It really punches in really at the end. That's you get like that oiliness of the
Mm-hmm.
spirit hits you
Yep.
at the back of the palate.
Good. Mm-hmm. Nice spices in there as well. A little bit of cinnamons, a little bit of nutmeg, slight oak still, a lot of citrus, a lot of berries, juicy fruit gum,
Hmm.
little tropical.
I didn't even want to say gum because like that's how I felt when it's
Mm.
like those juicy fruit gum that you put in your mouth, but they're more like right, like strawberry citrus ish. It stays right in the middle of your palate. It is interesting that when you have in single malt, for single malt, usually front of the palate is sweet, or back of the palate you get most of it. When you stay in the middle of your palate, there, I mean, it keeps you entertained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I added a little bit of water to mine.
Yeah, I added a couple drops. It's definitely kind of expanded all of those flavors. I'm not getting anything different at this point, but everything is definitely more velvety. The mouth feels a little bit more coating. And I think this might even take a couple more drops of water pretty well here to really try to get this opened up.
Ooh, ooh, yeah. That freezy, citrusy thing just rise up.
Uh-huh.
It's like rising up, just almost like the it's blooming. It is in on your palate. The nose did not change, nose remained the same, but those fruity flavor come forward, and is a little bit of that oakiness, and that just go to the back of the palate, but all the fruity flavors stay right in the middle.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah. This is very nice, especially for just.
For
I opened it earlier
I
and let it get some air, but I haven't pre-tasted any of these yet either. So
yeah, for a 9-year-old single malt, that is a big deal. Wow.
okay,
And
I added a few more drops of water. This is down probably about as low as I would go. I'm probably still around 50% ABV or low 50s. Very nice here. Almost really softened up the mouth feel. Almost took away too much of the fruitiness that I was getting, and just really that kind of that bite that I like. That spicy bite is now gone.
Mhm.
I still get just a hint of that char on the end, probably from the barrel.
Mhm.
But overall, very nice.
I like this. I really do. Just beautiful, beautiful. I can see me drinking this during the summer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The especially the very bright notes on it make you want to actually just have. I can have this in the middle of 70, 80 degree weather without worrying about it, because it's so bright on the palate that it doesn't like take you out.
I think I could see myself drinking this on any day ending in the letter Y.
that that is a good one. That is a good one.
So, I mean, just looking at the name, His Satanic Majesty Sweetie Emporium, I would agree with that. I mean, there is so much sweet and fruit going on in
Yeah,
here. It's like a candy emporium, a fruit emporium.
it's
But
yeah, it's probably one of those unique flavor where the nose and the palate marry perfectly,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
just right there. Oh, I can see this being a sin. Definitely been one of those what we call in French péché mignon, like a cute sin that you go to every time because you just love it as how the flavor marry perfectly.
Good, good. Let's
Yeah.
move on. Let's go to and I debated which one to go to next. We are going to go to the deep, rich, and dried fruits, which I may have held up for the third bottle.
Hmm.
But I think the third bottle that we will get to, I think is going to hold its own. It's a 15-year, but we're going to do this one first. It's an 11-year-old. Let me change my ticker here.
Okay. Are we getting any comments?
Oh yeah, you bet. Yeah, they're not populating on my comment feed here for some reason. I've got the comments over on YouTube pulled up though to the side, but yeah, they're not populating into StreamYard here. But so cask 89.16, yummy stuff. An 11-year-old Speyside, double maturation here. Ex bourbon hogshead being our first cask, and the final cask is a second fill XPX hogshead,
Hmm.
bottled at 60%. So expectations here, and the reason I went ahead and did this one second is being with that double maturation, and then just the second barrel or the finish being a second fill XPX. I would expect that influence should be a little bit less on this, but let's find out.
All right. I never read my tasting note for this reason, because when I remember the first 5 bottle, I remember I ordered 6 bottle the first time I got my membership. That was 4 years ago. And one of the things that happened is that the first time I read the description before I started pouring, and it's almost like it tricks your mind a little bit, because
Yeah.
this is the notes I'm looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it should be. And I made that mistake again when you were talking. I looked at it and I'm like, I don't want to see it, because I want to pick up the notes myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's literally all I used to do. Is I will pick up the bottle, I'll pour it, I would turn it around, and then I would taste it. Probably all through how I have it, and then I turn it to see, am I getting it? Am I even close?
Yeah. Always like to do that too. Go through a bottle first and taste it, get what notes I get, and then look and kind of see what other people are getting. But the thing is, you're never wrong. I mean, it's what
Yeah.
your palate is getting,
Hmm.
So
I mean, this is called yummy stuff, so
yeah.
it must be yummy stuff.
All right.
Uh,
The
this is
nose, just like I expected, our PX finish here is a little bit lighter. I'm
yeah.
definitely just getting. I mean, there's faint hints of PX here. It's mainly oak,
You're
vanilla,
not getting,
citrus.
yeah, we're not getting a lot of the sherry here
No,
on the nose at all.
there is a. I mean, it's in there. It's slightly. It's a little bit darker, almost a.
Even the color. The color doesn't give you that red hue when you get on those PX. Well, again, it's second feel.
Right.
PS, you know, it doesn't give you that weird, you get that red hue almost in the color from those PX sherry cask. But for me, PX can be done right and sometimes not so right,
Yes. Yeah.
because it kind of overpower the
Yeah.
whiskey sometimes.
Yep, it can.
So
If to me, if it becomes too syrupy sweet, it was too much. I think there is a fine balance in there with PX
yeah,
and finishing that finish or that maturation at just the right time. I do get. I mean, there's a little bit darker stuff. I mean, there's some burnt toffee, maybe.
yeah, a little for me, a little bit of toffee and just a little bit of that sherry, just a wee bit of just that sherry on the nose. Just we if you know the PX cask, obviously you already recognize the kind of the notes on it. You get a wee bit of it, but not a lot.
I would point out with the comments coming in, I'll try to address a few of them here and there, but my StreamYards is not populating them in, so I can't highlight them for on the screen for those watching at this point.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I had to go on YouTube to see the comments as well to see.
a little bit of a toasted marshmallow I just got there,
Hmm.
letting it open
Yeah,
up a
there's
little bit now. But
little bit of that toastiness. I
yeah,
think that's where you were saying toffee.
yeah. All
Yeah,
right, cheers.
yeah. Cheers. Hmm.
A little bit more influence from the PX than I was expecting.
Yeah, I was about
Still,
to say.
still not a sherry PX bomb here. It's definitely this was just a PX finishing. That short finish in that PX, and it's pretty. I would say almost wholesome though. Still
Mhm.
obvious. It's present. Nice
It's,
honeys. Nice
it's a
sweetness.
little savory too.
Savory.
Just a
Yeah.
little bit savory.
Yeah. That's a good note for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm. All right, I'm gonna go back in.
Yeah. Still lighter with those PX notes. So, like I say, it's a really nice finishing period here. Not overwhelming by any means, just
Mm-mm.
some nice notes of that PX coming through with that ex bourbon cask.
Wow, this is it's interesting as a whole.
Mm-hmm. There's some more, I don't want to just say cinnamons and nutmegs. There's some more spices going on here as well. A little bit of black pepper, even.
Yeah, black
Um,
pepper, cinnamon,
mhm.
uh, black pepper, cinnamon, and there's something else that is there.
Little vegetal almost too, a little
Correct,
earthy,
correct. I can't put my finger on it.
little meaty.
Let me see.
I added a drop of water. Haven't tasted it yet. That was all neat.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just adding water myself as we're speaking.
Yeah, Daniel Whiskey Throttle's giving me a tip. I've done that. I've got the chat popped out so I can see it off to the side. I just can't highlight anything and get it up here on the screen. So StreamYards must be having some issues today because our names are usually posted with us too, and they're not.
Yeah, showing. And it's not showing. Yeah.
So there must be some StreamYard issues today.
Wow. Okay. Nose is open up a little bit with some water.
I was looking on nose. It is a little bit fuller. Nothing. I don't think there's anything there I wasn't getting. It's just almost a little bit more pronounced. It's almost coming out of the glass a little bit more at me.
Wow. Okay. But with the water, it gets bolder almost.
I do like the mouthfeel here a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're making it almost like flannel sheets, just softer.
Yeah.
Warmer.
For me, it's much warmer. It's much more. I'm trying to put my finger on it. I feel like I'm missing something.
There. Okay, so I love sherry, finished scotches, PX, Oloroso. I love full maturations, longer maturations. I love finishes, all of it. There is something else going on here with just this PX finish, though. It's a little bit kind of meatier, just more savory. It is a little bit different than any other PX finish that I've had in a good way.
Correct.
But I'm like you. I can't quite put my finger on
it.
That's doing it.
I guess I've called the bottle. You would think about it.
All right, let's look and see what notes we're supposed to.
Yeah. What are we?
I'm going to add. I'm going to go ahead and add another drop of water as well, and let that sit while we do this, and then come back to it again.
Okay. Cinnamon,
sweet.
Oh, it is savory with bacon, chorizo, pork crackling.
Huh. Yeah, molasses cake, chocolate, cinnamon pastries, and savory bacon, chorizo, pork crackling. Probably that bacon, chorizo, pork is that savoriness.
That savory note. Yeah, I know there was something savory. I just, maybe because I don't have a lot of pork or anything, but I really, I can see that now.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Very nice indeed. Now I just added a couple more drops of water, so let me get in here and see.
If you're a PX lover, I would definitely say this one is gonna surprise you in a different way. Like it gives you a whole different profile than what you're used to.
I would guess that roughly this is probably 9 to 10 years in the ex-bourbon, and then that shorter finish 1 to 2 years in that second fill PX Hoghead.
Yeah.
I think the majority of the flavors that we're getting here are from that 9 to 10 years it spent, that distillate spent in that first cask.
And that bourbon cask, yeah.
Yeah. And that slight char on the end, almost that toasted pork chorizo there. Yeah, kind of different. One of the meatier, more savory PX finished whiskeys I've had.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. Ooh, that is a good one.
That is one. Yeah, but I'm sitting there going like, yeah, I will have called this bottle. You'll think about it for a while.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I'm going to clean my palate here with a drink of water.
I'm doing the same. I need.
All right. Next up from our Juicy Oak and Vanilla profile. So a new entry into our grain Single grain Scotch whiskey, cask G10.34,
Mm-hmm.
and it's named "And Now a Word from the Cask."
Okay.
15-year Lowland. Another double cask maturation here, with the initial cask being an ex-bourbon barrel. And second is a second fill HTMC hogshead for heavy toasted medium char, HTMC.
Heavy toasted medium char. Okay.
Heavy toasted medium char. And I
I'll
don't
be
know if I've
honest.
seen that designation or had anything before from that. Boy, it's got a nice color to it for a 15-year single grain. Little bit darker color than I was expecting. That's going to be all from that HTMC.
Yeah, I was about to say that comes from the toast.
Yep, that heavy toasted medium char hogshead right there. I don't know that if it wasn't in that, a 15-year grain whiskey would not be that color.
Colorful.
Yeah. This will be interesting. And I believe also the first grain whiskey I've had of ours.
Oh. Ooh. Interesting nose.
Yeah. Definitely a toasted maltiness.
Malty, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I would
but
say
it's a single grain, so
yeah.
let's say
It's
grassiness.
bready. It's bread. That's how I describe it. It's bready.
Bready, yeah, very nice. Yeasty.
Yeasty, yep, yeasty.
Grass. I'm thinking of course I'm in Kansas, so I'm thinking of a hayfield when during harvest.
Yeah, this is a little herbal note on the top, like walking through a grass field. You know, it's just after they cut the grass, you just walk through the field. There's that smell that stays on your nose. For me, it reminds me of just walking through a field, a field of fresh cut grass just passing by.
Now, James Morgan says it might be a bit young for a single grain. Yeah, let's see when we get in here. I will tell you, I've had some 30-year-old plus single grains that are marvelous, and mainly in like some blended whiskeys where there's a lot of older grain whiskeys being used, and you'll start to really get a vanilla, creaminess, tropical fruitiness with them. So let's see what a 15-year-old does, but I think this HTMC hogshead had a lot of influence on this.
Yeah, especially on the collar and even on the nose, because I can have a little bit of that dark cocoa, those powdered cocoa notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing we didn't point out is that I mentioned I'm in Kansas. You're in Nebraska. You're
Nebraska. We are about two hours.
Yeah.
A rock throw away from each other.
Yeah. So when I talk a harvest, you probably know what I'm talking
about.
I
know exactly what you're talking about.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. I don't know if I'm playing a trick to myself, but not what I was expecting.
There was definitely more hit the palate as soon as I took a sip, as soon as it got in my mouth than I was expecting. More, but toastiness is really present here. There's
cinnamon roll. Cinnamon roll.
Cinnamon?
Having the cinnamon roll, like a fresh hot cinnamon roll.
Yes, cinnamon roll.
Cinnamon roll.
Also Jolly Rancher cinnamon on the finish.
Yep.
It was a really sweet candied cinnamon that just came through, almost like that hard cinnamon candy people make at Christmas time.
Yeah, for me, it takes me back to those cinnamon roll with just fresh baked cinnamon roll. You cut through it, and you still have that in between the cinnamon that almost not completely cooked part of that cinnamon roll. It's almost like you still taste a little bit of the yeast.
Yeah, a little bit of the
it's
that moist breadiness.
Moist bread, yeah. It that literally all I feel like. He hits me right away like cinnamon roll. Wow.
Floral, a lot of floral notes as well.
Yeah,
Little.
those 4 don't come on a pallet though.
I got them there on that second sip that I just took, and I'm still neat. Haven't added any water. But then I'll tell you, this is the most pronounced Jolly Rancher cinnamon candy note I think I've gotten, and it's on the finish. It's sweet cinnamons,
Oh, yeah.
vanilla creams.
I'm getting those herbal notes now.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I'm gonna add a drop of water or two and see what
Mm.
happens here. This one, yeah, and like the comment that said young for a grain whiskey. This is probably a lot of the grain whiskeys that I've had have been just like ex bourbon cask or maybe even second refill ex bourbon casks. So you do get a lot more vanillas, citruses, kind of tropical fruits with those. This one,
That
I'm going to say it again. That HTMC Hogshead has paid dividends here. I believe the notes and the flavors that are going on with this one.
whoa.
This is unique.
This is very, very unique. Like this is something I would sip on like after a long day just to actually enjoy truly every single flavor of it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow.
This one is definitely exceeding expectations, and
Oh
I got to admit, it's probably one I wouldn't normally have ordered.
that's not something I would have went for because
No.
I love lowland whiskey because for me, lowland whiskeys are like are truly for me just um an easy sipper, right? I'm after a long day, I need me an easy sipper. I'll go to a lowland. I don't need anything crazy. I don't need anything too complex. But for lowland whiskey to actually kind of stop me in my tracks, this is a big deal. Yeah.
Good, good. We like it when that happens.
Yeah. I will
Yeah.
tell you guys if it opens tomorrow, just for the sake of sheer curiosity, I will advise for you to get to grab this. You can stump your friends, the other friend that are single malt lovers with this one.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because if you put this in the blind, people are gonna say a lot of stuff
Yeah.
till you tell them single grain lowland. There you go.
Yeah. Yep. A nice kind of a nice toasted caramely raspberry tart, even
Mhm.
or a caramely cinnamon raspberry tart.
I'm telling you, I, I'm I'm ashamed to say I've judged this thing before I had it. Like you see how you're like, okay, single grain whiskey is okay, it's like,
Mhm.
but this probably end up being the most interesting
Uh-huh.
so
Definitely.
far of what we've tasted. I'm like, okay, maybe this is a miracle barrel. This heavy toasted, heavy toasted medium char. This is a miracle barrel.
Yep. And I'm just looking, and see, it'll be available for $115. That's a steal on this. This is
Oh,
a unique bottle right here. This is
this is what I think when someone say, "Oh, I've been drinking single
mm,
malt for years." I think pour them this, and don't show them the label. Just pour them this. They are in for a treat. Yeah, this is definitely going to stump them.
second round of water on this, and it's even better. This one is getting better with a little bit more water. Everything is really opening up now, and
Wow,
just from front to back on the palate, it's gorgeous.
wow.
That was good.
I'm stumped. That doesn't happen often. I drink a lot of single malt blended. I have a few single grain and a couple, Irish whiskey always that are single grain, but I'm stumped by this one.
Yeah. Mhm. And
I,
I think I got my lineup right by doing the deep, rich, and dried fruits before this one. This one is even. I think the palate on this one has a little bit more punch to it than
yep,
the prior one did with the deep, rich, and dried fruits.
yeah, brother. I don't get, I don't run out of words often. I'm a talker, but this one right here, it's it's one that I have to come revisit when we're done with this. I have to come back and sit down with it. Yeah.
I see making hot coffee. They've been talking about the Super Bowl game last night and the win there. Good game. That was a great game, wasn't it?
You know, I really wanted the Bagels to win. I,
Yeah.
I, I will be honest. I'm not a football guy, but for how I feel like they've put in so much work. They were the underdog coming in. When they were at that 16-20, I'm like, okay, just defense, right? Just make sure that the defensive line is doing their job. And once that ball touched there and he made that pass, and they once that flag just landed on the field, I was like, oh, that's it. That's it. Like in my head, I was like, 4 minutes left. With that flag on the play, I'm like, okay, we are. I called it immediately. I'm like, they're losing. It was clear. Everybody had their timeout, but I look at everybody saved their timeout. It was 4 minutes in. I'm like, unless they turn the ball around. Once I saw that flag fall down, a minute 48, I'm like, okay, we are done. I was like, it was nice while it lasted. Good effort. They played a good game. It was a good game, but
yeah, it was a good game. Came down. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted a good game. I really didn't care which way it went. But yeah, as long as it was a good game and that coming down at 3-point game and just that final drive and the Bengals having a chance to do something is what makes it a good game. So yeah, I was glad to see it.
It's like I was before even that last one, and they were trying to just take the ball back and start. I'm like, guys, just give it up, because that's probably one of the closest Super Bowl I've seen.
Yeah. All right, let's look at our tasting notes here on G10.34.
Let's see.
A remarkable and surprising grain whiskey that behaves more like a malt, with waxy richness, earthy depth, spices, and abundant sweet fruits.
We nailed this one. Look at us looking like expert.
Yeah.
We nailed this
that
one.
must be you. That must be you, because yeah.
We nailed this one because we definitely got we were surprised. Definitely surprised. And you would think of it definitely as a malt, but yes, we got the earthiness, the spices, and definitely the fruitiness of it. This is the one that obviously is different, is the one we nailed. We nailed this one.
All right, and our final bottle for today, we're getting into the peated category. We say this all the time: always save your peated whiskeys for last in a tasting.
I tell people that all the time. Every time I'm doing Scotch classes or teaching Scotch school, I tell people we always leave the best for last.
Yeah,
but truly, we always leave the peated one for last. Otherwise, your palate is just shot. You're done.
Yep. So this is peated category, and someone earlier asked when was the last time we had a heavily peated whiskey come out, and I'm not sure on that. I know, of course, I've just been on since November. I know we haven't had a heavily peated at least since then, but before that, I'm not sure. It could be a while. Some of our peated profiles, though, I mean, this one, I'm guessing here this one's going to be pretty strong peat, but we'll find out.
The last one you released, the special one from last week, that sweet peat.
Oh,
that one was released. I mean, I saw the Greg, which is a member, he's on as well. Greg actually sent me the link. He's like, hey, have you seen this one here on Gregory Cloud? He's right here on the channel as well, on the chat. And he literally asked, he's like, have you seen the sweet peat? And I think the Scotch and Malt Society of the whole Hawaii group also sent me that. He's like, hey, dude, have you seen this sweet peat? I'm like, no. I went and checked it out. That's a pretty peated whiskey. So
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, last bottle today, cask number 53.379, an indulgent seaside feast. It's a 10-year-old Isla from a refill ex bourbon hogshead. 57.7% ABV. It's in the peated profile. So let's say a 10-year-old from this distillery in a refill ex bourbon hogshead. I would expect, and I haven't had this, a nice peat, citruses, vanillas. So let's see where we're at with that.
I,
How?
when it comes to Pete, I like to be surprised. Obviously, after when we had a show before, and I told you guys I'm a Pete head. If I ever have to buy a house in Europe just to live, I'll just live on Isla so I can actually live the rest of my life there. Um,
I've been there. Isla is nice, that's for sure.
it's but I
So color
always
is color is about where I would expect it here on a 10-year,
10 year
refill
is very light,
bourbon. There we
very
go.
light
Yep.
gold, very light. Do you? Oh, this is non-chill filters.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and if you look through right now, as I'm looking at it, you can see because I left it in the basement. I see the clumpiness of the oil on top.
Nice.
Wow.
All right, nose. I'm getting a little bit of mint, little or peat, mint,
Okay,
citrus.
but for some reason, did I ever tell you this? That every time I think of Pete, I think of burnt end barbecue.
Mm, no, I
That's
don't
the
think you said
first.
that.
That's literally the first. And you're in Kansas. You know what I talk about when I say burnt end barbecue.
I thought you were going to say when you think of Pete, you think of Bart, and I was going to say just don't go there. Not today. Not today.
But every time I smell Pete, I think of literally
Yeah.
the reason why I love Isla is it remind me of one of the happiest moment of my life is being by the sea in Hawaii. You got the sea mist hitting you on the side, and you have this grill meat on the
Mm-hmm.
left with
Mm-hmm.
the smoke hitting you on the side from the grill meat.
Mm-hmm.
And the sea mist, the saltiness, and the humidity of the sea mist, a little bit of that herbal notes from the sea moss, and you have that meat on the side. That's the reason why I love Isla.
I have just as you were describing all that. That's all right here, and I would throw like some coconut, like a grilled coconut, on there as well. That meat that's on the spit has some coconut as well.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I can sit on this nose forever.
yeah. This is a good one, and there's a lot going on here
There's
with it as well.
I can nose this thing forever. I mean, beautiful peated note. You get that little
Oh, I lost you, or
mint
you lost
barbecue. Like
me.
it remind me of burnt end. It is meaty on even on the nose.
Yep, yep. Throw a little
One thing,
pineapple
one
on
thing
there
I
as
would give,
well.
I would give the Scotch and Malt Society is you guys don't have a lot of Isla in the profile, but the Islas you have, each single one of them are home runs. I
Hmm.
have not been disappointed by any of the Islas you guys picked here.
Yeah, yep. I can tell you, people love deep, rich, and dried fruits profile. They love Isla peated whiskeys, and it's hard keeping those around. But
Like every time I go to look for anything in the Isle, I'm like, you can barely find one, two, usually sold out of
yeah,
stock. But I, I mean, every time is boom. I
yeah,
mean, no one is perfect, but every time is home run when it comes to Isla.
I
So
You know, I do. Some people will just get stuck on the Isla peat. I'll still encourage people. We've had some Highland peats and some Speyside peats, a couple available right now. Don't be afraid to try those. Don't just get stuck on Isla. There
No,
are other,
Your Highland peak,
yeah.
your Highland peak. That ooh, the Highland peak. You know, this is the part of the channel where I'm you know I'm politically correct. So the Highland peak, I can only point fingers at it. That Highland peak is everything. It's everything.
Hmm.
I'm telling you, when you guys put something peated, I don't know who is on the board of the committee that chooses those, but those people know what the definition of peated means, because people will hand you peated whiskey, and you're like, this is not peated at all. And like, you're like, oh, like there's this little peat in it. I'm like, no, don't tease me with it. Punch me in the face with it. I want to feel the peat.
The Highland and the Speyside that we both just released are both very well peated. But right here, cigarette ash was up front, hit me. There's a smoked pork in here. It's that hog on the spit, or even maybe even in those banana leaves that's roasting in the ground. You're roasting that whole hog.
But I'm getting a little bit of sea moss. I'm getting a little bit of that sea mist. I'm getting the meatiness. Those herbal notes are really on front. The meat palate, you get that meatiness, that a little bit of that burnt, almost like smoky, a little smoky, but more burnt kind of taste notes. Like it comes from probably the char and then the, you know, oakiness of it. But right there in the middle there, I'm getting all the cigarette ashes. I hate to say that for my whiskey, because people will always describe like peaty whiskey like, oh, that just tastes like cigarette ashes. I'm like, no, 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 no. Let's walk past the peat and let's get the real notes. So, but this one truly have very, very pronounced herbal notes. So if you like your peated whiskey to be very herbal and almost like charred, charred, this is the one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the
It's
one.
it's a little drier and a little spicier even than some of the other 10-year-old casks that I've had
Mhm.
here from 53. A little bit more astringent, a little bit more. This is almost like take so on brisket, a lot of people will use coarse ground black pepper and
Mhm.
coarse kosher salt. But take your hog now and soak it or let it or rub it good with that coarse ground black pepper and that kosher salt. And you've got that, in the ground, smoking that whole hog.
Woo! Mm,
Mm. Mm,
yeah.
mm, mm. You
This
get those.
is this is peated to perfection. I'm glad that there was no other cast, because sometimes I also feel that way. That peated whiskey with a little bit other cast kind of enhance, take away a little more from the, from the taste notes, but affects the profile, giving more of that roundness, that smokiness, you know, that I like to call that, that chili type of
Mm.
flavor to it, very meaty pork butt kind of, pork belly, pork butt
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of stuff. But this one right here is as authentic
Hmm.
when it comes to peated whiskey. One cask obviously is a ex bourbon cask. You get all the flavor of the peat that you need. So if you're a peat head like me, this is comfort zone 101.
I'm going a little petroleum here, even a little diesel fuel or a little oil, even.
Why are you using these, violence words? Let
Yeah.
let us Pete head, let's Pete head enjoy the moment right now.
Oh no,
It's
those are good. Pete heads love those notes right there.
yeah, those you what you call petroleum and that I'm calling oily,
Oily.
oily. Like
Hmm.
very oily. I'm calling coating the mouth completely. I'm
Hmm.
I'm calling it jelly, like jelly and oily. That's what I would
Hmm.
call
Hmm. Agreed. Yeah, very nice. Drop of water here or two. Um, Not getting too much difference. A lot of all the same notes are there. I don't think it's really changed yet.
it. The herbalness goes away a little bit,
You
and then a
think?
little bit of the citrusy and sweeter notes comes on front.
I'm just going to go ahead and add my
Yeah.
second dash of water here. This was this neat. This was killing it.
Yep.
There wasn't that much to improve on by adding water.
I
Let's
wouldn't.
just see what
I
else.
added water because we were tasting, but honestly, I would tell you right now, those phenols are hitting every right notes.
Yes.
Those phenols are like, as a peat lover, for me, this is what I would expect to have. If I don't, I just want to truly just relax, have a little bit of my peated whiskey, and just go through my day, or just truly a Valentine's Day peated whiskey. That's the best way.
So the second dash of water here now. Weirdly, the first dash didn't do that much. The second dash has brought out more of the citrus now, more of those vanillas that should be there. But still, all that savory, smoked, roasted pork is there. Little bit of that peanut, smoked peanut now, but still, it's more ashiness, more ashtray.
Yeah. The
But yeah,
Yeah, Wyatt is saying as whiskey is special when you bring emotion. I will tell you right now, Wyatt, I'm yeah, this one is hitting my soul. Is touching every part. Uh, um, I wouldn't dare be like this man right here that is saying things like ashtray and cigarettes and diesel, and I love y'all. I'm talking about smoky. I'm talking about oily. I'm talking about round and coating and all the good stuff. Um, I will tell you right now, this peated whiskey right here is truly, like I said, I will have called it comfort zone 101.
Mhm.
If you're a peat lover, this is where you sit. I will put this against two or three brands that I know that are heavily peated, around the same price thing, and this will stand on its own. You don't need any water in it. You got it. You truly got it. It's
Chad and Sarah from It's Bourbon Night are tuning in. Thanks, and they want to know
Yeah.
if we're talking about bourbon.
Hey
We're not
guys.
talking about bourbon.
Oh
We were
no,
on we were
we
on a peated whiskey. Yeah, and
funny thing is, people think, because of course I love scotch so much, and when I talk about single malt, I'm like, oh, you don't talk about bourbon. I'm like, I'm the guy who drinks more bourbon just for the sake of actually truly, because one, most people, obviously you know this, but honestly, if you're not drinking bourbon, how can you pick up the notes in a single malt aged in ex bourbon cask? That doesn't make sense.
yeah,
You know,
that's good. That's a great point.
correct.
Yeah,
If you're not drinking bourbon, how can you turn around and go, oh, this is ex bourbon cask, I can get the notes? Obviously not.
bourbon definitely plays a role based on
Correct.
that in the Scotch industry, doesn't it?
What, 89% of
Oh
all
yeah,
of
at
all
least. Yeah.
single malts are aged in ex bourbon cask?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So obviously, if you're not drinking bourbon, like I am the weird guy. Maybe you know, put something in the chat if you're with me, that love to taste the original juice of the cask that things are either finished in or aged in. So a lot of companies will go and age their bourbon, and maybe is having I was in Jameson, I was in Ireland, and I went to Jameson, and they're like, "Oh, we aged this in a wild turkey barrel," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah." I know wild turkey. I know the profile of wild turkey. So when you are drinking this, I'm like, oh, I can see how this barrel affected the single malt.
You know one of the facts that I like just as much or even better is that a lot of the oak that are used for casks in the industry are from the Ozarks in Missouri, one
Yeah,
state away from us.
this
It's
is your
amazing how much
this is
oak
your
from
neighbors.
Missouri is used. Yeah. So I will. So this oddly, I liked this one neat, and then I liked it with two drops, two dashes of water.
Brother,
One that
I would
first.
not have touched or sacrilege this drink with any water. I put water in because we have to go through all the tasting note and break it down. But if it's up to me, I will not touch. No water would affect this drink at all. I want it neat. I want all this peat. I want to breathe it, and I want to feel every single moment of it. And right now, while I had it neat, I was sitting back on the beach in Hawaii and having that sea moss and all those algae smell around me, and on the left there is a guy that's burning that hog right there, and I'm getting ready to eat it.
You're right there at the what is it, the luau? Right there on
A
in
luau,
Hawaii
yeah.
on the beach at the luau.
That's literally where I'm standing right now. So any water is just gonna detract from my experience. I am ready to actually have it 100% neat. So guys, when this thing released tomorrow, I will tell you right now, if you're a Pete head like me, you're welcome. That's all I can say. You are welcome.
So we are done, and we'll wrap this up shortly. But real quick, Jacques, I want you to talk about when Bart and I had you on the Scotch Test Dummies. You kind of went through. You're in Omaha,
Yeah.
and you noticed with the immigrant population how peated whiskeys would sell out in your liquor store that you were going to because the immigrants were buying them. And I just
Yes.
want you to kind of this was a very interesting, very neat aspect of it and why immigrants love peated whiskeys. But if you could, before we wrap this up, just kind of go over that with the people view and let them know about peated whiskeys and African immigrants.
Yes. So one of the thing or two things actually came out of Africa in general. We are in Black History Month, so I can give you a little bit of these facts. One of the things that came from Africa that most people don't know is today what is known as the Lincoln County process, right? The Lincoln County process came from Africa because that's the only way. That's truly the only way we distill water in Africa. We use charcoal and things. But another things that we did in West Africa that most people don't know is that most water, if it's not from the river or is from the rain, is usually filtered. And in any kitchen or elder's water, there's always a clay vase, right? A big old jar that is made out of clay to actually store water so you can have it anytime you want. One of the things I like me, I mean, most immigrant in I do a lot of classes in Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, a bunch of places. Every time we go to a party, people love this, the peated whiskey, Lagavulin, Lafroig, any peated whiskey you can think of. And I've always wondered, why is it that we gravitate towards that thing? And he hit me one time when I was having peated whiskey. I went back home about 5 years ago, and I went to the village, and they gave me water. And when I had the water, I'm like, oh my God, how didn't this click before? To make those vases, they use, clay, but to be able to seal the vase, they will actually use peat mixed in the clay, and then they will burn, the vase when it's done to seal it. They'll char it to seal it over high heat. And to keep the water cold, what they would do is they would dig in a hole and put the vase in halfway into the floor before they start putting water in. So when you go to the village, the water is always cold, but he has this thing back home, at least in Togo, we call it esemefiofio, which mean burnt earth, right? Burnt earth. That's what we'll call it because you have that crispy, peaty burn note that you get on your water. And we just love it so much because when you go to the village, you look forward to that type of natural ingredient water. So now you're an adult and you're having whiskey, and peated whiskey have the same profile, right? So every time immigrants will get together and we are having, when even I go in to help people set up parties and what they bring in for their guests, wedding, whatever you think of it, they all go, hey, we want 15 Lagavulin, 20. Like all the drinks are all peated whiskey because everybody almost bring back childhood memories of all those taste profiles. So most of the store I work with, I now have to tell these people, there's more than Lafroig and Lagavulin, right? I think last year I had a tasting where I introduced them to Ardbeg. And once that actually I introduced them to Ardbeg, the store owner calls me and go, I no longer have Ardbeg. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, your people came here and took all my Ugadol and took everything out of my store. And I'm like, oh. Then this year in December, when I had my friends over, I say, have you ever heard of Bruichladdich? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, have this. And now everybody's mad because Octomore costs an arm and a leg, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Ah, God!" So now the point is to push them to the Scotch and Malt Society for them to actually at least have access to some of the island. I'm progressively making them realize that yeah, there's the main brands out there that you can get, but
Mhm.
when you walk into the independent bottler side, things are much more fun for you to actually deal with. But most immigrants love, love, especially from West Africa, love peated whiskey because that's a profile of spirit we literally straight to our heart. We
Mhm.
can relate
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. That's so interesting to hear. I'd never heard that before, and it was so neat to put that into context. As far as I mean, here's this clay pot your water as you're growing up has this peated, smoky, flavor to it, and so peated, smoky whiskeys are a little splash of home. Yeah.
Everybody will use the same expression when they haven't peated whiskey. They're like, "Can you feel how burnt it is? You feel that earth burnt?" And I'm like, "That's not earth burnt." And they're like, "What do you mean?" Like back home when we drink that earth burn water. And I'm like, no, it's peat. Because most of those clays are made from the northern side of our country, which have a lot of that fossil fuel kind of peat because of all the sediment that are there. So it's easy to just get that and just go in with those. But I will tell you right now, um, you go to any party where there's West African people, guarantee you'll see some Lagavulin, and guarantee you'll see some Lafroig. And if you actually have somebody fancy in there, you probably see someone like me. You probably see me with some Bunnahabhain or some Ardbeg just standing there.
Hmm. Very nice. So, just real quick, I'm just sharing a quick graph there of the four whiskeys being released tomorrow. You can see we started today with a 71.81, the 9-year-old spicy and dry, or spicy and sweet profile. We moved to the 11-year-old deep, rich, and dried fruit profile, yummy stuff. Then the grain whiskey, third in our lineup today, the 15-year-old G10.34. And we're finishing with our 10-year-old Isla 53.379. So those will be available at 1 p.m. tomorrow
1
Eastern.
p.m. Central or Eastern.
Eastern. 1 p.m. Eastern. So
That's noon.
noon
That's
Central
noon
time.
Central. And yeah, guys, get that. You know the funny thing is I tell people all the time is, you know, you did show the distillery, so
Oh
I
crap!
can.
I'm gonna be in trouble for that one.
You did show the distillery, but that's just a solid. Like, who can go wrong with
Yeah.
koala? I mean, koala is you can't go wrong with that. That's like the base note of everything. So you cannot go wrong with that. For me, is truly where you stand, and for the price. I mean, ABV wise, you're talking about 57.7% ABV. You're 100% there.
Yep.
And if you're not a member and you maybe catch this recast somewhere, I would tell you right now, do yourself a service if you truly have, you know, you want to sharpen your palate. I'm very grateful that I'm a member of this is not to, guys you guys up or just, tell anything people don't know already. But I'm very thankful to be this year is gonna be my fit contract renewal in March is when I join. And um I don't always pick up all my bottles from there, but every month I go in and check in and see uh what I need. And I tell people all the time, one of the things that is important to me is to work on my palate. Your palate is a muscle. You got to keep working on it. And the Scotch and Malt Society does an amazing job of giving you guidance, but not forcing you into what you need to do. So for 3 years, I will sit there and review each bottle. I bought 2 bottles every month, and I always will go in and try to challenge myself. And every year I got better and better and better. Today people are like, "Oh, Jack is a Scotch guy. He knows everything." But it took that work to invest into sharpening my palate through the Scotch and Malt Society to really know. And most of the time, I don't even go and look at the YouTube or see, kind of hint the distillery. I just know what I'm tasting and what I want to learn.
I call it on the job training.
Yes,
Just learn.
indeed,
Learn.
indeed.
I mean, I can go back. I can remember when I first started with with whiskey. Maybe I might have been lucky to get two, maybe three notes, out of a whiskey, and it's just kind of you just keep improving on that, and you keep looking for more and more. Now, and create that flavor profile in your head though as well. And when you're tasting a whiskey and you're thinking, okay, I got some fruitiness here, then think, well, break it down. What kind of fruitiness is it? Sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can break it down further. Sometimes you can't. Just, hey, it's just there's a definite fruitiness here. It's lighter, it's citrusy, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you can get the raspberries, the pears, the cherries, the oranges, maybe you can't. But I think you just keep working on that. Is there a nuttiness there? Okay, what kind of a nuttiness is it? Is it almond? Is it peanut? You
Yeah.
know, macadamias. What are you getting? Is there a floral note? What kind of floral? You just kind of have to go through that wheel each time and just see if you can narrow it down. So, but keep working on it.
Every
Everybody
day,
that's watching, and
every day, every
yep,
every opportunity you get, you work on it because you will get better and better. And I love the fact that I don't know the distillery ahead of time. I love the fact that I get only enough hint to get me on the path. So now I can discover, young Jedi, right? Just discover my way through. And I will tell you right now, it's probably the best thing that could have happened to me as a single, as a whiskey lover, is there's not that bucket for bourbon or rye. You kind of know already what you're getting, but when single malt, it's like going on an adventure, and you don't know what you're gonna discover. What
mhm.
do you know? Age, origin, just the region and the age. Let me do my discovery. Let me put water in. Let me do all these things, and then I'll go. Oh, I really like this.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Well, Jacques, thank you for joining us, and appreciate it. Tell everybody again, just real quick, where to find you on YouTube and Instagram, and we'll close
If
her out.
you're on Instagram or Facebook, I'm the Hood Sommelier. I'm HOOD_sommelier, just like a sommelier, SOMEMMELER. I'm on Instagram. I'll always post daily of anything that's happening. I'll make sure to actually post this thing for people to remember to join the Scotch and Malt Society on my Instagram when we're done with this, so they can actually have access to this video if they want to. On YouTube, I'm the Hood Sommelier. Um, I'm not always the most politically correct, but I talk about whiskey the way I feel. That's the best way I describe it, as opposed to the whiskey the way I feel. Sometimes I'm happy, and sometimes some people will be like, I don't know about how you describe whiskey, but I always describe whiskey the way I feel. But my goal is always to educate new people walking into whiskey, and every now and then I tap into my immigrant roots, and I give you some wisdom from Africa. So that's what I do on the Instagram. I talk about whiskey. I love people, and every Monday on YouTube here and on Instagram we have Monday Sucks, where we talk about news, we talk about things that affect the industry, and we talk about whiskeys and how we feel, and we bring distilleries in and we question them on what we are curious about or what the community is curious about. So tonight is Valentine's Day special. So we will is Monday. Monday will not suck as much because we'll talk about love, and we talk about we're gonna give as much roses in increment of 4 roses to all the people that are watching. So
very nice. All right. Well, thank you for joining us again, and cheers to everybody that tuned in. Appreciate it, and happy Valentine's Day.
happy Valentine's Day.
Sláinte.
Yeah, sláinte.